The LegX platform is hosted securely on Microsoft Azure, which gives us easy access to their business intelligence tools, including Power BI. We leverage this technology to provide our clients reporting dashboards, the access to which are available for family members via free read-only licenses. Our implementation methodology ensures that stakeholder needs for information are captured upfront. Consultants configure initial dashboards based on these needs and respond quickly to new requests as they surface. I'll be walking you through several commonly used dashboards during this portion of the demo, but by no means are we limited to these examples. One of our most used features is custom fields and tagging that extend the core data model to support reporting needs that can be quite unique from client to client. This family dashboard shows an overview of AUM by family member and shows the breakdown of investing across different categories. In the bottom right, top investments highlight the value owned by a given family member. Many families are implementing KPIs, which are also shown against goals for categories they care about. As you might have guessed, each client's KPIs are configured specifically for them, and our consultants have expertise in providing relevant benchmarks that can be used to evaluate their outcomes. The dashboards are fully interactive and adjust the view if a value on a chart is selected to drill down into the next layer of the data. Another strength of LegX is our ability to provide a look-through into data that has complex or nested relationships. This family patriarch has ownership in a variety of entities, each with a breakdown of weightings by class, which can be untangled with this view of exposure. The details will show each portfolio that contributes to a given asset class and the value of each. The Positions tab breaks this down even further and highlights each investment that contributes to each portfolio Chris is invested in. Expanding on an investment also highlights how Chris may have ownership in that investment via multiple portfolios. Chris owns GS Capital via his personal assets, which has ownership in McCoy Private Investments, which he shares with other family members, and which also has a stake in GS Capital. Without these look-throughs, understanding exposure can be very difficult and time-consuming to track. This effective ownership report pulls in all of the look-through data to show for Chris where his effective ownership lies, understanding that he is invested in certain portfolios via multiple legal entities. Consistent with all of our Power BI widgets, details can be collapsed and expanded, and Hover provides additional detail about any included record. Just as you can select an item from the chart to see the drill down, you can also select a row from the detail to see where that value is reflected in the charts above. This flexibility makes searching for answers to a question such as, "What is my exposure to Eastern Europe?" very easy to answer. Let's pivot now to view a dashboard configured for an investment, Adage Capital Management. This profile view shows pretty standard performance information, but you can see a variety of tabs across the top. If I select the Investment Exposure tab, now I'm viewing how the fund is allocated across geography for both long and short positions. The right-hand filter panel lets me choose a different exposure category, such as sector or asset class. The Ownership tab breaks down the market value by beneficial owner, and I can also see the portfolio via which that owner has exposure. Once again, many times the beneficial owner will have exposure to an investment via multiple entities, and I can quickly identify the exact values of each with a click of a button. Let's take a quick look now at a closed-ended private investment fund, GS Capital Partners. Here you will see the total commitment to this investment, its current NAV, how much has been funded, what remains to be funded, and how much capital overall has been returned. The transaction history over time shows when capital was called, any time it was returned, and the bar illustrates the funding levels up to present. If I expand down a level, I'll see the specific dates of each transaction recorded for this investment. Last but not least, we'll show you an example of a family scorecard. This takes those KPIs we looked at when viewing the family dashboard and lets you evaluate progress at various levels, by household, by generation, or by family member. Remembering that each of these KPIs are unique to the client, as well as the way each client would like to be able to slice the data for comparison. Each family member with access to these dashboards will only be able to see the information that you've granted them access to. We have many recommendations for setting up scorecards, but keep in mind that you are truly limited only by your imagination. The first thing we typically highlight in our solution demo is the entity relationship map shown here. This illustrates how we've purposefully created a data foundation that supports the structure of family offices. Beneficial ownership is partnership accounting that's specific to the needs of family offices without any of the functionality that you aren't likely to need. We've used our expertise in this space to create a model that is both flexible and tailored to the kinds of relationships typically found in your organizations. As you can see, this visual representation of how all your entities relate to each other, whether that be an individual, a legal entity or trust, or a specific investment portfolio. Each node gives you quick access to the details of that entity, as well as a high-level understanding of the underlying data quality for that container. Data quality is a concept that's completely embedded into our solution and truly sets LegX apart. Sometimes you just don't have perfect data. It's not anyone's fault, it's simply the nature of the business that we're in, particularly with certain types of investments your family is likely to have. What is critical is knowing when you aren't very confident in the data that you have so that your decisions factor in the uncertainty. In addition to providing you with snapshot information on each entity you're managing, we also provide you with workflow aids that call out information that's missing or requires approval. From here, we can navigate to the data management screens in Mission Control. Once there, you can not only quickly filter to the records that require input, you can also see the full audit trail of the information since it was entered or ingested. You can see who entered the information and when, whether it was input manually or imported, and what data quality has been assigned. Each client can configure their own data quality tags to ensure the most precise markers for your needs. We create automated feeds for most clients to ingest data on a daily basis. At the start of the day, clients perform any cash reconciliation tasks that they might have, as well as then review and approve transactions and market values. Any transaction can be flagged for follow-up, along with the notes that describe what our users might need to chase down for a given transaction. We understand the need to be able to pass through data that isn't ready for accounting, but could make a significant impact on your performance reporting. Mission Control was built to preserve the data ingested in its native form. It can therefore be used for either investment decisions or accounting reporting, because the data isn't transformed until it is intentionally published to the downstream modules. This gives our clients the ability to report on both ABOR and IBOR side by side. At the close of periods or any other time the situation warrants, clients can separately publish data to accounting and strike a NAV for a given entity. Finally, clients can review the impact on beneficial ownership as a last step when all related entities have been processed. An intuitive workflow that puts you in control of how your data is going to be used, all while knowing the reliability and age of the data you have.